Hey there, Dango Stu here. Today's video is about getting the ceiling of the Wheelhouse back in one piece finally, and is proudly sponsored by marineengine.com. So I finally got these two main panels in and some of the trim back on the dash, which made that look much nicer, so I'm very happy with that. Before I could do that though, I had to finish all the wiring that was above it. So let's have a look at that first. Dad's here for a few days and give me a hand. We're just sanding up the surrounds for the dash so we can get those stained and put back in. And we've got the timber for the missing panels in the ceiling as well. These boards are slightly thicker and slightly narrower than the old ones, unfortunately, which means I'm going to cut the tongue off them. The groove's not an issue, and they may not fit right in here, so I'll measure it sort of to the back and we'll just wedge it in so you don't see the gap. Narrower is not so bad though, because it means we can put a center cap and make ourselves a little kind of cable channel coming down between them, so slight advantage to it. As I was saying when I first took them off, I'm going to stain them darker, so rather than being a similar colour to the rest of the roof and looking like slightly off, I'm just going to make them a contrasting colour, a bit like, you know, the sort of dark light fitting against the light timber. So let's measure it and cut them. If you hold that end against the, oh yeah, just watch the the death trap. Just against the edge? Yeah, there, but just to go up against the other board, the edge of that board. Yeah, that's it. Thanks. Yeah, 20, 35. All right.
And check the other side, will be.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, 20, 35.
That's good news.
Yeah. At least the boat's not a parallelogram. What are the ends like? See, that end's damaged. So we'll cut that end off. Well. I was just talking to Dad about how when Vic and I are on the boat, if you get this table that's only sort of ocky strapped on, if you bring it out, it sort of feels like you're boxing the space in. So what we tend to do is sit around the engine bay, use it as a bit of a coffee table and put food out and eat off your lap. But it's a little bit low and it's not flat. It's got a, you know, curve to it. So we're going to cut the legs off this table as a bit of a test of the idea and mount it to the top of the engine hatch, so we've got a slightly higher coffee table type thing in the middle. We're going to do that now so we can just sit at it and do the staining. So what I'm thinking, maybe if we just do a rough cut like here and then test it, and then we can sneak up on the final height rather than getting it wrong. Yeah, all right, so let's just unstrap it.
Just straight it.
Yeah. Maybe just lay it on the side, over here. Yeah, I can take that, yep. So then if we go here, 5 degrees, cut like that. Oh, that hasn't been done in a while. So, is it marked with 5 degrees? Yeah, it's close enough.
Not bad, is it?
I'll use a block for the, we can actually also sand it to tweak it. When we go down to our final cuts, which is a bit lower, we might sneak up on it, we'll get it right. So we're going to adjust them to get it flat as the boat sits in the water now. And we're going to make the front ones slope that way and the back ones slope this way. While Dad stains that timber, I'm putting these wires through again finally. Doing them one at a time now. Same technique, just put the weighted bricky string in, then I pull it down, and then from below I'm pushing a steel cable up, tape it on and pull it down the rest of the way, because yes, the bottom of here is a hole this big and there's no way you can drop it in. I managed to hook the string out from inside the mast and then pull the wire through okay, so we were off to a good start. Now, I don't want this too tight, and I will put a split conduit around it to protect it from chafing and UV, etc. Alright, just pushing this steel wire up through that little hole, and then we'll pull through. This is the kind of nerve-wracking part when you think, oh, yes, success. So, both wires through. Done. That was better than last time. Poor old Red Dwarf's got a oyster cup. I think this was it here. Yeah, you can see here it's right through. Not into the pontoon, so it's not deflated in any way, but it does mean that the bilge, for want of a better word, does fill with water and you can't plane, and it's been scraped off here. It was sitting on rocks that had oysters poking up after it floated away in a bit of a tide. A few scratches here. So let's give it a clean up. As good as I ever clean anything anyway. I've actually cleaned this area. You can see it's got rid of the shell. A bit of MEK solvent to sort of activate the rubber here for the glue to attach to. And we'll get a patch on. So we need to put it on, let it dry for about half an hour, and then we put another coat on, let that go touch dry, then put the patch on. This is a 2-pack adhesive for PVC, which is what this is, cheaper boat. Just got it from Whitworth's. So let's mix them up. I think it says about 5%, but it's okay if you accidentally go to 6 or 7% or something. So that's all right, yeah, 6 or 7. So 5 by volume, not by weight, and a little bit higher, 1 or 2% higher is not a problem. All right, let's give it all a white with the MEK. Boat came with some patches, but they're pretty old. Here are some PVC ones. Giving it a coat, gonna let that dry for half an hour. It's really hot today. The packet says do it in a controlled environment, out of direct sunlight. Well, that's not gonna happen, is it? So anyway, come back, do another coat, stick it on. The last thing I'm gonna wire up before I put these 2 ceiling panels in, temporarily, because there'll be more wiring down the track, is the horn. You need to have a sound signal by law, and I just had one of those little aerosol cans, but not very convenient, particularly if you need it in a hurry, you know, when you're in a situation that may result in an accident. So let's take it off for now, off the bracket, take it down below, get it open, and see if we can just run some new wires straight into the body of it, test it works, and if it does, we'll wire it up to the button. That's interesting, it's just wedged under there. It's not even attached, it was just wedged under the head of the bolt. Alright, let's take it downstairs. Got to say, I'm pretty happy with how this table's working out here. It's kind of a nice height. Like, we tried a table up, like more at a sort of a table height you'd have, and I don't know, it sort of makes the space feel divided. So I think we'll definitely go with this. Maybe not necessarily this one permanently. Been looking around, now we know this works. I've actually been looking around at just straight coffee tables, but ones that have drawers, because definitely need the storage. So a coffee table with drawers both sides I think might be perfect for here, so I think this was really worth doing the trial. At the back we'll have more of a bench across, put a sink in, fishing, cooking, that kind of thing. But finding this quite comfortable. Okay, it's not obviously custom to the width, maybe if it came out just a bit further both sides, but it's definitely given me confidence in the concept of having a low table here. Anyway, let's open this up, see what we see. Yeah. It's the old nest of something that's lived in there. You would have got a rude shock if the horn went off. Oh god, it's blocked completely. That's what electrical cable's for, isn't it? Here we go. That's the inside of the horn. Alright, looks pretty healthy inside. So, this is obviously the diaphragm that the solenoid just moves in and out at some set frequency. Wires, on the other hand, aren't as clear unless this comes out. Feels like it's actually only the wires that are stopping it. So I might be able to cut the wires flush, pull it out, attach new wires, push the wires and get it in. It's funny, it's got like distributor points almost, the looks of it. Speaking of distributor points, Mike and I got the Cleveland engine that we got running and transferred it into the old LTD Sleazy and finally got it moving. So Mike edited the video for that this weekend and just uploaded it. So I'll put the link in the corner and a link in the description if you want to watch us getting that going. All right. Feeling committed now I've done that, but let's see. Still not coming out, no. We'll get there. Where there's a will, there's a way. Could it be the magnet? It sort of rotates, so it's not connected. Could be magnetic. Oh, hang on. Idiot. Under the sticker there's a screw. Alright, that's alright. There you go. Learn something new every day. I'm thinking there's enough room inside here to do a join to these wires and keep that join inside the unit. That's my current thinking. Let's see how that goes. So I think I'll put this at the far side and wrap around it. Yeah, alright, let's heat shrink it. This red cable here is just one I pushed up from inside the wheelhouse to pull the other one down with. This is the inspection hole I drilled for fishing the wires out, but I'm actually going to use this to put the horn cable through. I found a cable gland that fit over the wire and I slipped that on the wire first, then just started pulling the red wire down from the wheelhouse, but then pulled the horn cable through with it. Next step was to Sikaflex that cable gland into the mast, into that old inspection port. It'll do for now. It'll keep the rain out, and one day down the track I may actually fully upgrade the mast, but it'll do us for now. Alright, to bring you up to speed with the wiring here, this is our anchor light. This is the LEDs on the back deck. This is now the horn that we just brought down from above. And this is the mobile antenna for the internet. What I'm thinking, so this is a multi-core that goes forward and down to the switch panel at the front. What I've actually got here is two negatives going back. So I've actually sent pairs back. But what I'm thinking I'm going to do is put in a negative bus bar here. I've only got a little kind of terminal block, but we'll fake it for now. Just to try and save some connections here, rather than sending a separate negative yet again for the horn we're installing. A little while ago a viewer swung past in his boat and we had a little chat, and while he was here I just made up this, which is kind of my fake bus bar. We're not putting any particularly high current devices, but you do have to consider when you're doing this kind of thing that if everything was on, every bit of current flows through this wire, you know? The negative's just as important as the positive. So I think we'll be right. LED nav lights and a momentary horn. Yeah, I'm happy with that. But if it was any more, we'd definitely be thinking about it. whether we've got a thick enough wire for the run distance. This is where we're at now. This is the anchor light, this is the horn, and this is the lights for outside. I've cut that outside because I always plan to put a waterproof connector there because we need to take the awning off this week to remove the Detroit, and it's going to allow me to pass the wire through here before I do that so that it's not pinched under the ceiling. So let's drill a hole through the steel and pass this wire through. Just notice a little spark then. This is actually live because the only switch for the LEDs is actually on the LEDs. So I'll quickly pull the fuse for those first. And I'll wrap it with tape when I figure out where it's going to chafe to. Got these little labels I'm going to put them. And this one is awning lights. Alright, let's get this. Wedged up into there. Alright, got these two panels in. As I was saying, they're slightly narrower than the old panels, and I've got them, you know, the two tongues to the centre, which actually gives us a slight recess on the top side as well for the wires. All I need now is just a centre strip to cover that. So I'm going to go up to the timber store later. I'll see what I can find when I'm there. Cable glands in there nicely. Now the Sikaflex is set. Push the little grommet in. Cap, tighten that up. Now we'll just bolt this back up and then work on the switch. This is the button I'm using for the horn. So we'll just put a bit of twin core wire onto it, and then we'll splice into that multi-core wire going up onto the wheelhouse roof to the horn itself. This is the multi-core here. I've stripped quite a bit of the outer shielding off because it can go to the backs of these switches. In this case, we're going to a button. So we're going to trim the brown wire, which is power to the horn, and just two wires to put the momentary button in series with it. Because I'd been doing lots of wiring behind here, I'd left the trimming off, but I put it on today. Dad actually stained the trimming as well as the bits for the ceiling, and I've got to say, it makes a big difference. I'll whack it on now, I'll show you. There's a hole there for a wire, which I'm not using now, but I made down the track. Then that goes there. When I'm home, I'm going to rip some more boards down to do the very edges, but that can wait for another video, given this one's already late. Quite happy with how the dash trim really does lift it a bit. You just don't see all those edges of the boards and everything, so that's nice. I think testing the horn in a bay with people chilling out is, you know, it's a bit like choosing a new ringtone in a restaurant, so we'll do that in a bit. And then I've got to start getting ready to take this Detroit out. Well, back from Refuge Bay now, and I don't think there would have been any real issue testing this horn there. It's hardly intimidating. In fact, I'd say it needs replacing. It's kind of getting a little bit better as you use it, so maybe it's freeing up. Possibly needed to lubricate the mechanism, I don't know. But it works. The one thing I do like about the horn is it sounds a little bit like Oliver from that Top Gear special, so, you know, that's kind of cool. This video, as you'll know by the time you see it, is late. Lots of other stuff happening this week. Tomorrow, I'm thinking I might have one last grapple for that lost anchor before I start taking the Detroit out and getting it up to Adrian's. All right, well, take care and I'll catch you then. See ya. You still struggle with your legs, don't you? But you're getting better. It's an interesting technique they've got. Scratch up the top, step back, look for insects. There's food in her hutch, you know, the door's always open, so she could sit in her cage and eat all day long if she wanted to, but she much prefers to get out and find her own food. I mean, obviously they prefer protein to, you know, insects to seed, but goes to show they don't just sit in a cage where there's water, food, safety. You like to keep busy, don't you, Daffy? Always lots to do. Plus, you stop weeds growing back. If we pull the weeds out, you know, there's big ones she can't get out, but if we pull them out, she certainly takes care of all the seeds and things that are left behind, stops them growing back. All right, I'm gonna go find my own breakfast too. You keep digging. You're way too hot, aren't you? Panting away. Having a little bath, trying to cool you down. Got yourself overheated. It's a hot day. Gotta stay out of the sun. You cool off there and I'll be back.